Hello and welcome to Breakout session number 45. Today we're going to talk about what scale do I play over what progression. I had a big breakthrough the other day, and I see it everywhere now. It's funny how that works. It's called reticular activating system in your brain. You know, if you buy a new car, you bought a new black Mustang or something, all of a sudden you're driving around, you see black Mustangs everywhere. You never noticed them before. It's the same way with this. Now that I have this thought in my mind, I see a lot of, especially on YouTube, people teaching this, and they're not always calling it the same thing, but I see this in their teaching. So I'm hoping I can convey this to you. Okay, so, but first, as usual, I want to say hi to all the Guitar League members out there around the country that might be watching. And I hope that you would subscribe to my channel and hit the little bell. We'll tell you when we got new stuff coming up, and I'd sure appreciate it if you hit the like button and put some comments in there. And go on the Guitar League website and check them out and see if there's a chapter near you. And if there isn't a chapter, maybe you might want to think about starting one. We'll give you some support. So anyway, let's get going. So all the materials for today are going to be down in the description, along with a link to a backing track that I'll talk about later. Okay, so what I want to talk about is, well, what scale do I use to solo over something? Okay, so we've been talking a lot about 1-4-5 progressions, blues progressions, and, well, you use them in a lot of things. And we've been using the pentatonic scales for those, whatever key it's in, either the major or minor pentatonic, or maybe the blues scale, which is, you know, right in there with one more note. But, you know, there's only 5 notes in that. So let's take a different progression this time. Let's take a 1-5-6-4 progression, which when you hear that, you're going to realize that's like in a million songs, and that's an exaggeration, but it's in a lot of pop songs. And also, if you change that combination of chords, the same chords, you'll see that it's even in more songs, okay? So when we want to solo over that, if we use just the pentatonic scale, it's going to sound like we're just using the pentatonic scale because we're missing a couple of notes. Okay, so there's, like in pentatonic, you've got a 1, 2, 3, 5, and 6. So we're missing the 4 and the 7 note in that scale. So we're in the case, let's go to G. We're going to take a progression in G. Okay, so we've got a G, a D, an E minor, and a C. So we're missing a couple of notes in the pentatonic. We're missing a C and an F sharp, which are kind of important chord tones for those chords. So let's take and let's put the chord tones to those chords on a fretboard chart, on a screen, and see what happens when we put all those chord tones on there. So let's do that now. Okay, let's put the chord tones of these chords on this chart and see what we end up with. Starting with the G. The chord tones to G would be G, B, and D. So let's do the Gs. I'm going to put the Gs in red, and we're going to stay within this small, probably 4 fret area here. So now we need to find Bs, and I think I'm going to make all the other notes, we're just going to have them all the same color, and I think we're going to do them in black. So let's find the Bs. Here's a B here, and here's a B here. We're not going to count the open strings right now. Okay, so now we need to find some Ds. So here's a D. And let's see, where else? And here's a D right here. Okay, so that's the G chord. Okay, now for the D chord, we need a D, F sharp, and an A. Well, we have the Ds already. So now we need it. Let's do the F sharps. Here's an F sharp, and here's an F sharp. And I think for this, well, there's one here too. So those are the F sharps. And then we need an A. So here is an A here. And where else are we going to find an A? We're going to find an A here. And for this scenario, that's as far as we're, oh, and then there's an A here. Okay. All right, so now the E minor, we are going to use a B, an E, and a G. Well, we already have G's and B's, so we need to find some E's. So here's an E, and here's another E, and for this, that's all the E's that we have right now. Okay, and then for the C chord, it's a C, E, and a G. Well, we have an E and a G right now, so we need to find the C's, and here's a C, and here's a C. So I'm hoping you can see this all come together. So what we have here now is a G major scale in 2 octaves, and we have a bunch of different modes that we're going to talk about in a minute. So let me get back to the front of the camera, and we'll keep going. Okay, so now we're back, and you see that what we have there, we have a G major scale in 2 octaves. We also have all of the modes are in there. All 7 modes are in that scale. But the ones that we need have to do with the 1 chord, the 4 chord, the 5 chord, and the 6 chord. So the modes that we would talk about are the Ionian mode, the Lydian mode, the Mixolydian mode, and the Aeolian mode. Okay, but we're not going to get too into modes, but they're there for you. Okay, so let's look at those chords. So one of the things that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to just run through that scale till you get it under your fingers in 2 octaves, okay? Plus, you know that you could move that to another key. That's the beauty of this whole idea, okay? So the next part of this whole idea is so when you're playing over that 1, 5, 6, 4, you can use all of those notes, and you'd probably want to try to land on the chord tone of the chord you're going by. But you don't have to think a lot about it because it's hard to play a wrong note if you use that major scale over that chord progression. Okay? But the next step to this, so first step is to get that get that scale under your fingers so that you automatically can play that, okay? So that'll take a little while. But then let's take those 4 chords and play 2 shapes of each one of those chords within about a 4 fret distance, okay? So a G chord would be a G, the old-fashioned G. Then you'd play a G chord with the E-shaped G chord, we call that. And that has many different configurations of it that you can take little parts of that big G chord. Then the D chord, you play the old-fashioned D-shaped D chord, or you could play a C-shaped D chord. You know, with this D is the root here. A lot of times people just play it with 3 fingers like that and just play 3 notes there, the actual chord tones. Okay, then we got an E minor. So you got an old-fashioned E minor. Then you got another E minor right down here, like the D minor shape, only there. And then the next chord, or the last chord we have is a C chord. So you have a C shape, and you have an A shape, C chord. So we haven't moved but approximately up to the 4th fret, right? I think. Yeah, maybe the 5th fret. But we're right close in this area. And guess what? We just played every shape in the cage system right there. And that works all the way up the line. You know, you could learn the G, for instance, if you're starting with a G major scale, you could learn the G major scale all in this position and all the chords that go with it. And then you could move up and learn the G scale in another position and all the chords that go with it. So what I'm going to want you to do, I've got a really good backing track here that a gentleman has graciously allowed me to use. And I'm going to put a link to this backing track and obviously his YouTube channel, so you can go there. He's got great backing tracks, so they're free. This particular one is this chord progression, and it's very slow. It's I can't read it's 68 beats a minute, so that's very, very slow. And the beauty of this one too is it's about 9 minutes long, the backing track, so you can just let it go and keep practicing the scale over it, and then maybe start thinking about the chords that are going by and what the shapes are and where those chord tones are underneath it. So I'm just going to show you a couple bars of this backing track, and then I want you guys, your assignment for this week is to learn that scale and to play along with this backing track and see if it, then you've got a lot of options, okay? Now you've got, you already know the pentatonic scales. You could use the G major, G minor pentatonic, okay? Now you can use this whole G major scale, okay? Now you could use the modes, and the only thing you got to do there is know it's the same exact scale, and the mode is going to start with the root note of the chord that it's going over. So in other words, on the one chord, the Ionian mode is the G scale. Okay, the Lydian mode, which is the 4 chord, you're going to start on the 4th note of the scale and continue with the G major scale. The 5th one is Mixolydian. The 5th mode of G is Mixolydian, and that works great, obviously, over the 5 chord. It's perfect. You hear Grateful Dead playing it all the time. Okay, so that you're going to start with the 5th note of the scale and just keep going through the scale. And the same with the Aeolian mode, which is like the minor mode, the 6th mode. You're going to start that with the 6th note of the scale. Okay, like an E. Okay, so let me, now I got to fire this back up again. I went to sleep. Let's get this back. Let's just get this guy going. Scale. Just the scale. You can just run up and down that and you're not going to hit a wrong note. More musical to me than just running up and down a pentatonic scale. So I want you guys to give it a try. Just run up and down the scale first, learn the scale, and then picture the chords as they go by, the different shapes of the chords, and then you can start to see where those chord tones are within that chord, and then you can blend that together. And I think you're going to have a lot of fun with it, and you won't blank out when somebody asks you to take a lead over a 4-chord song. So I hope to see you in the next video, and don't forget to subscribe and check out the Guitar League website too. See you later.